picture this scenario right. Your phone is just sitting on the desk right in front of you.
Okay.
You haven't touched it. You didn't click on any suspicious link. You didn't download a file from an unknown sender. You weren't even looking at the screen.
Right.
And suddenly it rings once, and then it just goes completely silent.
Wow.
And that's it.
That is literally it. In that single silent moment, before you even register what happened, an absolute nightmare has unfolded inside that device. All your passwords, your private photos, your banking details, along with full live control of your microphone and camera.
Just completely exposed.
Completely. They have already been extracted. They are actively being sent to a distant server halfway across the world. I mean, no links clicked, no files downloaded, just a complete invisible compromise.
It sounds almost like a dystopian thriller.
It does, but this is the very real, very dangerous, multi-million-dollar world of zero-click attacks and zero-day vulnerabilities. Welcome to the Deep Dive. Today we are opening up a highly sensitive stack of sources to look at a threat that is, frankly, terrifying. Yeah, it's incredibly serious.
We're examining technical cybersecurity reports, active threat intelligence data from Google and iVerify, and unsealed federal court documents. Our mission here is to unpack exactly how these invisible weapons work, track their terrifying leak from, state-sponsored military intelligence into the hands of common criminals, and figure out how you can actually defend yourself.
Because understanding this is really the only way to protect yourself, right?
Exactly. We are looking at a digital arms race on a scale that is genuinely hard to comprehend. And to really grasp the severity of this arms race, we have to start with the mechanics of the invisible break-in.
So how does the break-in actually happen?
Well, to understand this danger, we have to start with the core concept of a zero-day vulnerability. Buried deep inside the software you use every single day, your phone's operating system, the secure messaging apps you rely on, there is a secret flaw.
A flaw the creators don't know about.
Right. The original developers who wrote the code have absolutely no idea it exists. Because the company is blind to the vulnerability, they haven't released a patch to fix it. They have literally had 0 days to close this gap.
Oh, wow.
Think of it like this. Imagine you just moved into an ultra-secure, high-tech fortress. You've got the biometric scanners, the lasers, the armed guards. You feel, completely secure.
Yeah, totally locked down.
The original builders accidentally left a secret tunnel right under the moat. You don't know about it, the builders forgot about it, but the blueprints to that secret tunnel are currently being auctioned off on the digital black market to the highest bidder.
Which basically shatters everything we've ever been taught about cybersecurity.
It shatters all of it. For decades, the advice was always, just don't click suspicious links.
But attackers have evolved past needing you to make a mistake. Your behavior, your caution, it no longer guarantees your safety.
Wait, I have to ask, if I'm not clicking anything, how are they actually getting in? What's the doorway? The doorway is the background communication your phone is constantly engaging in just to stay connected. Your device is always silently talking to servers, right? Receiving push notifications, syncing data. Zero-click attacks weaponize the way your device automatically processes that incoming data before it ever alerts you.
So the phone is just doing its normal job.
Exactly. It's just parsing information, and the attacker hides a malicious command inside that standard background traffic. And to prove this isn't just academic theory, we have to look at the most famous real-world application of this. It happened on a platform that practically everyone trusts with their most intimate conversations.
You're talking about WhatsApp.
Yes, WhatsApp. In May 2019, WhatsApp suffered the most devastating cyber attack in its history. The vulnerability was executed by the NSO Group, which is an Israeli cyber surveillance company, using their infamous Pegasus spyware. And what they exploited was, it was incredibly clever.
How did they do it?
Well, WhatsApp engineers had built a background system to make voice calls connect faster. To reduce latency, so it rings the second you hit the call button, WhatsApp was designed to exchange media packets in the background before the person on the other end even accepts the call.
Wait, so the app is literally just trying to be efficient, and the hackers weaponize that exact efficiency against them?
That is the tragic irony of modern software design. The hackers targeted that tiny, invisible window of efficiency. They sent specially crafted, malicious SRTCP packets directly to the target's phone number. Now, SRTCP is just a standard protocol designed to securely transport audio data.
Right, just normal call data.
Exactly. But the code inside WhatsApp that processed these incoming packets had a fatal flaw. It couldn't properly check the boundaries of the data it was receiving. In cybersecurity, we call this a heap-based buffer overflow.
Okay, a heap-based buffer overflow. What does that actually mean in plain English?
Think of it like a security guard stationed at the front desk of an office building. His only job is to quickly check standard-sized plastic ID badges. Suddenly, someone walks up and hands him an ID badge the size of a massive billboard, covered in thousands of tiny, complex, contradictory instructions.
That would just break his brain.
Completely. The guard gets so overwhelmed trying to process this impossible object that his brain essentially crashes. In his state of total confusion, he drops all his standard protocols and blindly starts following the instructions written on the giant badge, which tell him to immediately unlock the main vault.
Wow, so the data packet itself actually turns into an executable command.
Precisely. The massive data packet overwhelms the system's memory, bypasses the security checks, and injects malicious machine code directly into your device's memory. And the most chilling part is the operational security of the spyware. When your phone rang, you didn't even need to answer it.
It was already too late.
It was way too late. The shellcode was already running silently in the background, handing unrestricted control of the device over to Pegasus. And to ensure forensic experts wouldn't find a single trace, the code automatically deleted the fake incoming call record from WhatsApp's call history. No trace, no warning, just complete silence.
That is terrifying. But if it deletes its own tracks, how did anyone ever discover it?
It's an incredible story, honestly. It was May 2nd, 2019. An intern working at Meta was monitoring traffic on the voice and video call servers and noticed a highly unusual anomaly. They found malicious code hiding in obscure network layers where normal user traffic would never go.
So what did they do?
Well, a senior engineer named Claudio Jorge and his team jumped on it. But they didn't do what engineers usually do. They didn't immediately roll out a patch. They deliberately left the hole open to lay a trap. They called it trying to pull the malicious package.
That sounds like a massive risk, leaving a live vulnerability open.
A huge calculated risk.
Oh.
But they needed to capture the payload to reverse engineer it. They monitored the live attack, seized the code, and then finally released the patch. But Meta refused to let this end with a software update. By October 2019, they launched a massive federal lawsuit against the NSO group in California.
And what did they find out in court?
What came out during discovery was unbelievable. NSO Group had actually used servers within United States borders to run this global espionage operation. They rented servers from a company called Quadranet in LA, using them over 700 times during the attack. They also used Amazon servers.
I'm guessing Amazon didn't like that.
Not at all. The very second Amazon found out, they permanently terminated all of NSO's cloud accounts. The legal fallout was absolute devastation for the spyware company. In May 2025, a federal jury ordered NSO Group to pay Meta a staggering $167 million in punitive damages.
That is an insane amount of money.
It is, but honestly, focusing on a $167 million courtroom victory completely abstracts the true damage. A financial penalty doesn't capture the human devastation. We have to look at the human beings whose lives were destroyed by these weapons.
Right. Who was actually targeted by this?
The victim list is terrifyingly diverse. Take Hanan al-Achra. She is the wife of Jamal Khashoggi, the Saudi journalist who murdered in 2018. In April 2018, Hanan was detained by UAE security forces at the Dubai airport. And during her detention, they confiscated her phones.
So they had physical access to the device.
Yes, and this highlights another vector. A forensic analysis revealed that an official physically opened her mobile browser and manually typed in a special Pegasus download link. If an operative has physical access, they can install the software in under 5 minutes. Every single message, every private call, her entire life was monitored second by second for months leading up to her husband's murder.
Oh my God. That is horrific.
It's beyond horrific. When she finally learned the truth, she realized her husband might have been tracked through the very phone she carried in her purse. And no one is immune to this level of intrusion, not even Jeff Bezos.
Wait, Jeff Bezos was hacked?
Yes, the billionaire founder of Amazon. He received a seemingly harmless video file sent directly from the personal WhatsApp account of the Saudi crown prince. A single message and massive amounts of highly sensitive data started leaking from his device. An unknown zero-day turned a billionaire's heavily guarded phone into a live spying device.
That is just wild.
We saw the exact same methodology used against journalists. New York Times reporter Ben Hubbard was targeted repeatedly for 3 years. He was hit via an iMessage text containing a sophisticated zero-click vulnerability known as forced entry. And then there's Emmanuel Macron.
The French president.
Yes, the Pegasus project revealed that the personal mobile phone of the French president had been targeted by Moroccan security services. Think about the gravity of that. It's like finding out the leader of a nuclear-armed nation is walking around with a screen door on their digital vault.
I mean, why can't these massive tech companies just patch this stuff faster? How are the attackers always a step ahead?
Because of the economics. You have to follow the money. Zero-day vulnerabilities are basically the weapons of mass destruction in the cyber world, and the black market payouts for them are astronomical. Broker firms like Zerodium and CrowdFence operate openly, offering millions of dollars in cold cash to independent researchers.
How much money are we actually talking about?
The numbers in our sources are staggering. CrowdFence is currently paying $7 million in cash for a zero-click iOS exploit chain. $7 million. The exact same vulnerability for Android gets a $5 million offer. Zerodium is paying $1.5 million just for a flaw that works through WhatsApp or iMessage.
Wow.
And a vulnerability that can break through Chrome or Safari and completely bypass the device's deepest defenses. That is worth $3.5 million. These staggering numbers have triggered a highly dangerous paradigm shift.
So it's not just governments using this anymore.
Not at all. A 2025 report from Google's Threat Intelligence Group puts this in terrifying perspective. They found 90 active zero-day vulnerabilities in use worldwide. And for the very first time in history, the number of zero days being actively deployed by commercial spyware companies surpassed the number used by government's own military cyber armies.
So these weapons are just fully commercialized now.
Completely. Anyone with enough money can own this arsenal. And because the prices hit $7 million, the incentive to steal these weapons skyrocketed. Which brings us to the inevitable consequence: state-sponsored military code leaking directly into the criminal underworld. This is trickle-down cyber warfare.
You're talking about the Karuna exploit kit, right?
Exactly. In March 2026, the cybersecurity world was shaken by the discovery of Karuna. It was revealed simultaneously by iVerify and Google. Karuna was a massive cyber attack package containing 23 different vulnerabilities. It was originally used by a Russian intelligence group against critical targets in Ukraine. But the system leaked.
Where did it end up?
It made its way out of the military sphere and ended up directly in the hands of a highly aggressive, China-based financial cybercrime ring. These criminals took a military-grade espionage weapon and planted it on fake cryptocurrency websites. But they lacked the operational discipline of a military unit.
What did they do wrong?
They carelessly left the unencrypted debug version of the software publicly exposed on the internet. Experts reverse engineered it, and what they found was a terrifying pivot. When Karuna infiltrates your phone, it installs a payload called Plasma Loader. Plasma Loader doesn't care about state secrets. It is designed purely to steal your money.
Wait, how does it actually drain an account if you aren't typing in your password?
Once it's invisibly running on your device, Plasma Loader rapidly scans your photo gallery, looking specifically for screenshots of QR codes to your crypto wallets. It opens your Apple Notes and violently searches for your backup recovery seed phrases. It actively hooks into popular wallet apps and drains all your assets in a matter of seconds.
It just weaponizes your own private notes against you.
Yes. And the threat landscape expanded almost immediately after that. By late March 2026, a brand new exploit kit called Dark Sword was released completely out in the open on GitHub for anyone to access. The anonymous person who leaked it claimed they were doing it to punish spyware operators for having bad operational security.
So they just dumped a cyber weapon on the public internet.
Yes, and iVerify analysts issued immediate warnings. This code requires absolutely no hacking expertise to deploy. You literally just copy, paste, and run it. Dark Sword chains together 6 different zero-day vulnerabilities, slicing right through the Safari browser all the way down to the device's deepest core, the XNU kernel layer.
And once they have the kernel, it's game over.
Once they control that kernel, they control everything. They can rewrite the rules of the operating system itself. Now, Apple had already released the new iOS 26 to combat these advanced threats. But Dark Sword was specifically designed to target older versions iOS 18.4 through 18.7.
Hold on, so people are just defenseless because they didn't want the new AI features in iOS 26?
Yes. Up to 19% of active devices. Between 220 and 290 million iPhones are completely defenseless right now. Millions of people held out on updating their phones because they were annoyed by interface changes or deeply uncomfortable with having AI forcibly integrated into their operating system.
That is a horrific paradox. But I mean, for the average listener, why would anyone waste $1 million cyber weapon on me? I'm not the French president.
That is the biggest, most dangerous misconception in cybersecurity today. You are the target. Because your personal phone is the back door to the most critical corporate infrastructure in the world. Almost every single working professional today uses their personal phone for work.
Right, for emails, authenticator apps.
Exactly. Your company emails, your two-factor authentication codes, your secure corporate VPN access. It is all sitting on that little glass device in your pocket. We aren't the vault. We are the stolen employee key card that gets the attackers into the vault.
So if one employee at a power plant gets hit,
it could literally bring down the entire company. The FBI and CISA recently issued, it fundamentally shrinks your attack surface. Lockdown mode is a free protection that outright disables some of the complex browser engines running in the background, the exact engines where these vulnerabilities usually hide. By shutting down those background processes, it literally breaks the exploit chains before they can even start.
That makes sense. What else?
If you truly want to reclaim your digital sovereignty, you have to ditch SMS texts and regular authenticator apps for your two-factor authentication. You need to transition to FIDO2-compatible hardware security keys.
Because a hardware key requires physical touch.
Yes, physical isolation.
Yeah.
Unlike a text message that can be intercepted, a hacker sitting in a basement halfway across the world cannot physically press the button on the key sitting on your desk. It completely breaks the remote attack chain. Furthermore, never store your passwords in your web browser. Use military-grade offline password managers.
Just disconnect them from the internet entirely.
Exactly. And finally, you have to draw an absolute impenetrable line between your personal devices and your corporate networks. These are not paranoid luxuries. They are the baseline logical standards required for surviving in a world where the weapons are invisible.
Yeah, you really have to take control of your own security.
Because if you don't protect yourself, absolutely nobody else will. You have to take sovereignty over your digital life. Which leaves us with one final, deeply unsettling thought for you to mull over. We've seen that millions stayed vulnerable to Darksword simply because they avoided upgrading to iOS 26's forced AI features.
Yeah.
But what if, in the near future, AI becomes the only thing fast enough to spot and patch a 0-day before it executes?
Right. Could our resistance to AI actually be the thing that guarantees we get hacked?
That is the chilling paradox. Because as we've learned today, the most devastating attacks don't announce themselves. They don't give you a link to click or a file to reject. They just wait for your phone to ring once on the table and then go completely silent. Thank you for joining us on this deep dive. Please do yourself a favor. Go update your phone right now.